Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a look at all the rules for the KASRKIN kill team and going deep looking at all their tactical ploys, strategic ploys. We're going into each of the data cards and looking at some of their special abilities as well. So let's get started, and we'll be going through all the rules from the Kill Team Shadow Vaults book. So that's the only place you can find them at the moment, unless you can get them online, of course. And we'll start with the KASRKIN Kill Team Operatives. So this starts on page 35, and this is where you're going to find all the different operatives that you can take in your kill team. Now, first up, you've got a choice to make with your KASRKIN Sergeant, and you can equip them with a bolt pistol power weapon, hotshot lasgun gun butt, hotshot las pistol power weapon, and a plasma pistol and chainsaw. So that's your first decision, deciding which set of weapons to give to your sergeant. Now, depending what you want, if you want to keep this whole kill team quite long range, you might want to go with the hotshot lasgun and gun butt, because the other three will have to get within red to use your range weapon, and then again, then you're going to get up close with your melee weapon and do some damage. But as you look through the data cards later with me in the video here, you're going to see that this kill team isn't designed for melee. It's not designed to get up close at all. Maybe one or two operatives want to get within red of the enemy to use their weapons, but not many. Most are all at range, and so that's really what the KASRKIN kill team are all about. So if you give your sergeant the plasma pistol and chainsaw, for example, like I've done, then that's the one you want to get up close to your enemy. But if you put him in harm's way up close, you're going to lose some benefits you get with your abilities, and especially with the elite points that we're going to go over as well later in the video. So yeah, pretty good decision here as to what you want. I went for plasma pistol and chainsaw because I like the combination. It's pretty tough. So I figured rather than pushing him forward, though, I'm going to still hang him back and just keep him there to almost protect my back line a little bit. If any of the other enemies start getting a bit too close, maybe I'll push him up and put him at risk, certainly in some of the later turning points, but not early on. I want to keep him in the game for as long as I can, obviously, and then maybe use him more as a defensive positional rather than someone who's going to get stuck in and go on the offensive with the melee weapon. So that's the first choice. Go for the KASRKIN Sergeant. And again, we're going to look at the data cards in a second, so you'll see exactly what these weapons can do. Then you can choose 9 KASRKIN operatives selected from this following list. So you can have the medic, demo trooper, you've got 5 types of gunners, a recon trooper, sharpshooter, trooper, and a vox trooper. So, and it says down there then, other than KASRKIN trooper operatives, your kill team can only include each operative above once. So even though the kit is going to give you 2 of each of these heavy weapons, that's not really going to help you here in kill team. I think that's designed for 40k in mind. So, although you've got 2 of each weapons in the kit, it doesn't matter here. You're only allowed to take 1 of them in your kill team. Of course, you could add more to your roster. You could have lots in the roster, but it's the kill team you select. You're only going to take 1 at a time. So, choose which ones you want there. And then down here, it says your kill team can include no more than 4 KASRKIN gunner and KASRKIN sharpshooter operatives combined. So if you choose, or I read it as, if you choose 3 gunners and 1 sharpshooter, that's it. You can't take another gunner. Or you could go 4 gunners, but then you can't take the sharpshooter. So for me, the KASRKIN sharpshooter is my favourite model from this whole set, and I'm building my kill team around that, really. So I'll be taking 3 gunners for sure. But what I've done is I've built 4 of the gunners, and one of them has got the hot shot volley gun, and I'm just going to use him as a vox trooper, and so I could just proxy it if I want to that way, but it also gives me another option with my gunners, because I may want to leave the sharpshooter out and play 4 gunners. I just want to have that option. So that's the way I've gone with it. And you can see that video on my channel where I go through all the different options for building your models based on what's in the kit and the instruction booklet and the rules as well, but focusing more on what you get in the kit and what you can build. So there we go. Now we know what we can include in our kill team. Let's move on and we'll have a look at the TAC Ops next. So the first TAC Op is called Vital Objective. And now this is simply going to give you the extra victory point if you control 1 objective. Then you've got Stand Fast. And here, if you control 2 or more objectives and more than the enemy, you're going to get a victory point. And then you've got this thing called Secure Zone. Here, if you place your marker down and you can control 1 area where you've placed that marker, which is called your secure zone, you're going to get 1 VP. So you've got a few ways, all about controlling those objectives here with the KASRKIN. So nothing too exciting for the TAC Ops. And I haven't been playing TAC Ops in the games I've been playing recently. We've been leaving those out. But if you want to include them, it's just another great way to get some extra victory points. Now let's have a look at the abilities, and this ability is really what sets KASRKIN apart, I think, from the other kill team. Really neat mechanism, really fun. I'm looking forward to exploring this and giving them a go and seeing what I can do with this. I think it's going to be really effective, especially with my favourite sniper. So let's have a look at this ability then. And the whole idea is that the KASRKIN are these elite troops. So as it describes, they're highly disciplined, physically and mentally robust, and extremely well trained. So these elite points are designed to really portray that in the narrative and also in the gameplay with this new mechanic. So how does it work? Well, basically, you start the battle with a pool of 10 elite points. And each time a friendly KASRKIN operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack, in the roll attack dice step of that combat or shooting attack, you can spend one or more of your elite points to adjust one and only one of your dice. And for each point you spend, add one to the dice result and then reduce the number of elite points in your pool by one. And they provide an example here, but I'm going to show you an example on screen of how it works. So say, for example, your operative rolls a 4. You can then spend one elite point to turn that 4 into a 5. And if you want to, you could spend a second elite point to turn that 5 into a 6. Now this is awesome, and especially when you combine it with the sharpshooter, because if you look here, the sharpshooter has got the snipe ability, which is a heavy silent weapon, but on a 6 he's going to deal 3 mortal wounds. And there's nothing the enemy can do about that unless they've got a special rule, of course, that can negate or at least give them a chance to try and save with something like a feel no pain or something like that. So, you can change that 4 now to a 6, deal 3 mortal wounds straight away. That's brilliant. I really love that. But you can only do it on one dice, so you can't go from, say, a 4 to a 5 with one elite point, then on another dice, maybe change it from a 3 to a 4. So that's not able to happen. You can't do that. You can only do it on one of your dice. But this is brilliant because that sharpshooter, every time they shoot, they got some great stats. 4 dice hitting on 2, so there's a great chance they're going to actually get some hits. And so then you could easily use your elite points to get those mortal wounds in. I think every time they activate, you've got a great chance of doing it. So that's where I'll be focusing my elite points. I'll make that sniper my main guy, and unless he gets killed, of course, early on, which could well happen, but hopefully it doesn't, and then I can spend those elite points racking up those mortal wounds on the enemy, which I think will be a brilliant tactic and, well spent. And it's also going to be great for some of the other operatives. So as we go through the data cards in a minute, we'll have a look at their cards and just see how we can weave in these elite points into the gameplay. But before we get onto the data cards, let's have a look at the strategic ploys and the tactical ploys. And we'll start with the strategic ploys and elimination pattern. So all these are one command point, and this one basically gives your hotshot weapons the gain P1 ability. There's some other conditions in there, but I'm not going to read through each one. I'll just summarize it really quickly so you get a good idea of what they can do. Then you've got Safeguard, and this is going to allow you to re-roll defense dice of 1. Again, you have to meet some other conditions. This one I quite like, Clearance Sweep. You get 1 free elite point to use, but you have to do, I'll read this one actually because it is quite cool. Place one of your Clearance Sweep tokens anywhere in the kill zone. Each time a shooting attack is made by a KASRKIN operative within 2 white horizontally of that token against a target that's also within 2 white horizontally of that token, in the roll attack dice step of that shooting attack, you can spend 1 elite point for free during that shooting attack, even if you've got none left in your pool. And so at the end of the turning point, you take that token out. So I like that. If there's something, an enemy holding an objective, maybe they're tough, maybe they're a melee enemy, and you want to take them out without having to sacrifice your sergeant and push him forward, then use Clearance Sweep, and then everyone can target from a distance, and then use these extra free elite points to rack up those dice scores, maybe get extra critical hits. I think that's going to be really cool. So I really like Clearance Sweep. I love the idea of it. I think it's going to work really nicely when you layer up all the different models shooting from a distance at one tough target. I'm thinking Tyranids right away. You get a Tyranid warrior, what have they got, 18 wounds, and then you can shoot that from a distance. You don't have to worry about it coming up close and getting you. So yeah, clear and sweep, I'm really into that one. That's probably my favourite out of all of them, but I do also like reposition, which will give you a free dash, and it's for an operative and all friendly operatives within blue of them. So that's really nice. You can't use it in the first turning point though, but if you want to do a free dash to get closer or to get in cover, then this is going to be really helpful. Now let's have a look at the tactical ploys, and we've got a cover retreat. Here you can fall back for 1 AP, so that's nice. I think you really are going to be potentially using fallback actions with the KASRKIN quite a lot. Again, they don't have that melee strength. You want to keep them at bay from the enemy, or keep the enemy at bay, keep that distance between them, and then get back in cover, shoot from range. So I think this could be pretty handy, falling back for that 1 AP less. Then there's neutralize target, and this allows you to re-roll attack dice. Again, some conditions are involved. This is good. I like this one. How often do you want to get the initiative in Kill Team with those turning points? It's really crucial, especially as you get to later turning points, and I think this is going to be really important. Seize the initiative. Use this tactical ploy after rolling off to determine initiative. You can re-roll your dice, so I'll be certainly using that one, because there's a lot of times I want to get that initiative and just don't get it, so you've got a second chance. So that's really nice. Then we've got Facadia, and this is +1 to your melee weapon and a 5+ feel no pain as well. So there we go. That's pretty cool. Melee weapons really need it, and it's to both damage characteristics of gun butt actually. So it's not every melee weapon, it's just for gun butt weapons. So yeah, I think that's going to be necessary to maybe towards the later turning points when the enemy's pushed forward and you're in close. You got one final push against them, one final attack, so you're all in the melee to get stuck in and deal some damage. So yeah, I think Facadia is going to come in handy, but later on in the game. Now we'll start having a look at the data cards, and here's the KASRKIN Sergeant. He's got 8 wounds, and you'll see with the rest they're going to have 7. His movement's 3, he's got 2 action points, group activation is 1, defense he's rolling 3, and the save is a 4+. So obviously an improvement on your regular Cadians, so that's nice. 8 wounds. Scares me a bit, especially when you consider he's got the highest wounds in the whole kill team. The rest are only going to have 7. So yeah, that concerns me a little bit with these guys, but only time will tell when you play them a lot how it works up and how much you use your medic, if you include one, to keep those wounds up on your key models. But for me, I went with this guy with the plasma pistol. I really like the AP1. He's dealing 5 or 6 damage, and then with the chainsword, he's got the ceaseless rule, dealing 4 to 5 damage. That combo's nice. Again, having one operative in there that you want to keep in the game and keep back, but as a defensive role, I think it's going to come in pretty handy. But it's this leadership ability that I think makes this Sergeant pretty special, because in each strategy phase, you can add 2 elite points to your pool. So you definitely want to include him. You've got to keep him in there for as long as you can in the game, and to get the most of those elite points added to your pool. So yeah, that's going to be key. Protect this guy and then use those elite points to deal extra damage on the enemy. So I'm thinking as the enemy move forward, whoever's closer, keep using elite points at them and just take them out. So it just makes it harder and harder for the enemy to get up close. And then when they eventually do, push him forward and sacrifice him near the end. Right, now we're on to the KASRKIN Combat Medic. And now you're going to see the stats that pretty much they've all got. Movement 3, APL 2, Group Activation 1, Defense 3 with a 4+, save, and then Wound 7. Very low. I mean, just imagine how easy they're going to get shot, especially playing something like Intercessors, shooting twice. They're going to destroy them in just one activation. So they're going to go down quick. They're going to go down hard. You've got to keep them in cover. Be careful with those orders you give them. Yeah, I think you've got to keep these guys really back and be very sneaky with them, because that wound 7 is not good. Now, the Hotshot Lasgun is going to make 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3 to 4 damage. Gunbutt, 3 attacks hitting on 4s, only dealing 2 to 3. So the damage output is not great, but for the medic, he really is there to buff up those fellow operatives. You've got the unique action of the combat stim. This is 1 AP, where you can select a friendly operative, visible to and within black of him, so he's got to get up close to them, and then that operative regains 2d3 lost wounds. So that could be good. Potentially 6 wounds back, but in my luck, probably just 2, but still really helpful. and the operative cannot be selected for this action if it was revived, using the medic ability during the same turning point. And then also you can't do it if this operative, the medic, is in engagement range of an enemy operative. So let's have a look at the medic ability then. You can't use that alongside the combat stim. So once per turning point, the first time another KASRKIN operative would be incapacitated while visible to and within blue of this operative. So he's got to be close again. That's key with a medic. He's got to be close. And then not within engagement range of an enemy operative. So yeah, if you're not within engagement range, you can do it. But if they're taken out with melee, that means you're not going to be able to use this ability on them. So that's interesting. So the friendly operative is not incapacitated when you use this. It has 1 wound remaining. And if it was a shooting attack, any remaining attack dice are then discarded. That friendly operative can then perform a free dash action, but must finish that move within black of this operative, and then subtract 1 from both operatives' APL. So this is like an interrupt. You would do this out of activation turn, I guess. With this, you'd have to, yeah, because it would be during a shooting attack, because if any dice are remaining, they're discarded. So that's interesting. Yeah, you just take 1 APL off, and this is like an interrupt. So that's going to be quite cool. And then when it is the activation turn of the medic, they can use the unique action combat stims if they want. I hope I've got that right. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section below. Is that medic ability something you can do out of your own activation? So it'd be great to hear your thoughts on that too. Now let's have a look at the KASRKIN Demo Trooper. Same stat line at the top, those 7 wounds. It's all about the Melter Mine with this though, and the Melter Mine looks great. 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, damage is 4 and then 2, but it's AP2. It's got a special rule, proximity, which we'll look at in a second, and it's Mortal Wounds 3. I love seeing Mortal Wounds 3, and they're really going to need it here. So we've got proximity. The first time an enemy operative moves within white of this operative's Melter Mine token, make a shooting attack against each operative within white of that token. Now that's going to be enemy operative or friendly, so just bear that in mind. Be very careful where you put it. It's going to be great to put it on an objective, maybe one that you go over. You can do an action on to steal a point, a victory point, and then put the mine down and leg it and get out of there. And then if the enemy want to go back there to get another point from that objective, if they can under the mission rules, then that mine's going to blow up and potentially take them out and certainly put them off. So that's interesting. You can really start directing the enemy and controlling the battlefield a little bit with this Demo Trooper. I really like that. So when making those shooting attacks, the operatives are always valid targets, can't be in cover, very much like the bomb squig, I guess, where that's concerned. And you're going to be making shooting attacks against each one as well. So you're not splitting your dice, they're all getting a go. And then at the end of those attacks, remove the token, and an operative cannot make a shooting attack with this weapon by any other means, or if its Melter Mine token is not in the kill zone. So there we go. Now, if you want to plant the Melter Mine, you've got to use the unique action. It's going to cost you 1 AP, so I guess you're going to have to move, place the mine. You're going to be stuck there for a time unless you moved in your previous activation to a point you wanted to be in, and so bear that in mind. Although we could try and get another AP added to our APL for an activation with the comms operative. That would be an option, because I wouldn't want to move, lay the mine, stay there until it's the next activation and then get out of the way. That feels a bit vulnerable and you're going to get blown up yourself, much like the bomb squig kills itself and all its friendly orcs around it. So I wouldn't want that to happen here. So you're going to have to think about when and how you're going to do this, I think. So that's pretty interesting. It's also got blast padding, so you're going to get some benefits there. It's unaffected by the splash critical rule, so that's really nice. I like that. Splash is a great way to deal some mortal wounds, especially when you see the enemy bunching up, but it's not going to affect this one. So yeah, it's got a little bit of protection there as well from that blast padding. Right, really nice. So Demo Trooper's interesting so far. We've got the medic who can try and revive some of the friendly operatives. You got this guy to control the battlefield a little bit. Your elite points coming from the sergeant. Who's next? The recon trooper. So got the same stats. Weapons aren't great, but it's this first one. Oh, for goodness sake, I can't say that. Reconnoiter kill zone. In the scouting step, after resolving your selection, you can resolve an additional recon option. That's really nice. So that's going to be awesome. You can get another option from that scouting steps. That's going to be handy. Maybe you want another barricade to give yourself a nice wall at the back, but I think having the option to change 2 of the orders during your during your turning point, sorry, is going to be really cool. So normally if you do the scouting step, I would choose to change one of my orders. I think that's really good. It's because I've been playing the Orcs all through October. The Rocket Boy's a great one for that. Give him the conceal, and then you're allowed to change it to engage. So I like that for him, and I think that's going to come in really handy with these models as well. I really like this for the KASRKIN, especially because you want to be standing back. You can put people concealed, but in cover, and then with line of sight on potential spots the enemy's going to pop up, and then you've got the option to change it to engage, and then they can take some shots at the enemy. So that's going to be really handy. I like that one a lot. Is it worth including in though? Not sure, but let's see what the Warden or Specs unique action does for 1 AP. Here you select a friendly operative, and until the end of the turning point, each time a friendly operative makes a shooting attack against that enemy operative, the ranged weapon that operative is equipped with gains the no cover special rule for that shooting attack, and that enemy operative is not treated as being in cover for the specified cover purposes of the elimination pattern strategic ploy and neutralize target tactical ploy. And so you've got to go back and look at those ploys and combine them with this. So another wordy unique action there. I'm not excited by that. That's not jumping out at me too much. I could certainly see a time when that's going to come into effect though, where you'd want to use it. I'm not sure if this is one I'd want to put in my kill team though. So the good thing about this is you can build him like this and then use him as a regular trooper, and so you just proxy him, and you've got the option if you want to do this. So if you've got a mission, for example, I think that you want to get 2 of those scouting step abilities from, then I think that would be worth including. But this one I'm just not sure. It's just not standing out to me too much. So yeah, I'm thinking for now he's going to be a standard trooper, because they get a great ability, as you'll see as we carry on through these data cards. Right, let's have a look at my favourite one now, the Sharpshooter. So same stats there, those 7 wounds, not great, but we've got this hot shot marksman rifle, and each time you make an attack with it, you've got 2 weapon profiles to choose from, sharp shot or snipe. Sharp shot is not great. 4 attacks, 3+, 3 to 4. I mean, it's okay. Hitting on 3s isn't bad, is it? But then the snipe is really good. 4 shots, hitting on 2s, you're going to deal 3 damage on a normal hit, 3 on a critical hit, but that comes now with the special rule heavy and silent, and the mortar wounds 3 critical hit rule. And that mortar wounds 3 is excellent, especially when you combine it with the elite points that we talked about earlier. I think that's going to come in really handy. It's also got the silent rule. I really like that one, so we can shoot and be concealed really good. Heavies, I don't mind the heavy weapons. I like the benefits you get from them. Usually AP1 or AP2, certainly a mortal wound here and there. But in this case, it's really the mortal wound you're focusing on. And so I like the idea. He's got the heavy special rule. He's only going to be able to dash as he focuses in, takes aim, and gets a good shot at the enemy for that snipe shot, that silent kill. So yeah, loving that. And up close gun butt. Not brilliant, is it, Gunbutt? Right, let's have a look at abilities. This is the Camo Cloak. Each time a shooting attack is made against the operative in the roll defense dice step of the attack, before rolling your defense dice, if it's in cover, 1 additional dice can be retained. That's brilliant. So that plays into the idea of these Camo Cloaks. Much like 40k, you're going to get buffs from it. So now, if you're in cover, you know you're going to get 2 dice that you can retain. So brilliant all round. I think they've done a great job here on the abilities. Love the mortal wounds, but you've got to combine it with those elite points, I think. Now we're on to the KASRKIN Gunner, and this one's got a lot going on. This is 1 data card for all 5 of your gunner options. So no matter which one you choose, you're going to get all the stats from this. Same stat line at the top with those wounds 7, and then we work through looking at all the different ones. First one, Flame. I didn't even build a Flamer. I just think this stat line 5, hitting on 2s, 2/2 damage, range, red and torrent. I never have any success with it. It doesn't do an awful lot against the kill teams I've played, at least so far. So I've left out the Flamer. I also don't think it fits in with the KASRKINs as much as it does with the Cadians, or certainly with my Katachans. So I've just left it out. I figured I didn't want to give it to him. And I'm going to be using these in 40k, actually, with the new Cadian box set that comes out and the Rogue or Dawn tank. And I want to do a completely different theme with that set. It's going to be more urban, grey, shooting at distance and that kind of thing. So I'm not worrying too much about these close up weapons. Grenade launcher I really like. That's really good. You've got the AP1 option for the crack. Brilliant. Got to have AP1. It makes a huge difference. Hot shot volley gun. That looks all right. Don't mind that. With 5 dice hitting on 4s, good chance for getting a 6. So you can get the P1, so then you'd make it an AP1. So I like that. Fusillade, that's okay too. Melter guns are just amazing. If you can get up close enough, this is brilliant. So I'd be inclined, I think, with my melter gun to put that with my sergeant. And again, have it as a defensive line at the back. If any of the enemy get too close, you've got something pretty hardcore to get stuck in with. 4 dice hitting on 4s. Just normal damage is 6. But you're immediately going to do 4 mortal wounds on a critical hit. And then another 3 if they don't save it. AP2 as well. So they're only going to get potentially, or more often, 1 chance to save, but you do have to be within red, within that 6 inches to actually use it. So definitely something I'm not going to push up, but could be good to put in a key position that prevents the enemy coming to you. Again, trying to control that battlefield. You've got that mine you can put down on an objective. You've got this you could position, so if they come into your line of fire, they're going to get punished for it. So you've got some nice little options here to lay up. So I definitely built a melter gun, had to include it. Plasma gun's good as well. I really like that because whether you go for standard or supercharge, you're going to deal 5 or 6 damage. It's AP1 or AP2, but then that risk of it being hot, of course, if you supercharge. But yeah, I think for the AP2 at the right time, it's going to be worth it. But most time, I'd probably be edging towards AP1, going for standard, because you know you're going to do some damage with that 5 and 6. No abilities, no unique actions. It's all about the weapons with these gunners. All right, who are we on to now? So now we're on to the KASRKIN Trooper. Same stat line, nothing different. He's got the hotshot lasgun, which isn't great. He's got the gun butt, which isn't good at all. And then he's got the elite trooper ability. So this is where he's going to come into his own, I think. Each time the operative makes a shooting attack, you can spend 1 elite point for free during that shooting attack, even if you don't have any in your pool. So this is brilliant. If you've got him in there, you're going to get some better hits, aren't you, with him? Do you know what I mean? There's a good chance with 4 dice you're going to get 5s and 6s. So if you get those 5s, just spend that 1 free elite point, get it up to a 6. That's got to be worth doing. Or even if you're rolling lows and you're getting lots of 3s, at least you know some of them are going to be potential hits. So that's really nice. But is it worth including lots of them over the abilities we've seen on some of the other operatives earlier on? I don't know. I think I'm just going to go with 1 or 2 of these and then really use all the abilities we've seen in the other operatives. So what do you think, though? How many troopers would you put in your kill team based on what you've seen so far? Let me know in the comments down below. And that brings us on to the KASRKIN Vox Trooper. Now, this one's interesting. He's pretty much the same as the one we've just seen, the Trooper, but he's got this one unique action that makes him stand out. It's called Battle Comms. This will cost you 1 AP, and you select 1 friendly operative in the kill zone and add 1 to its APL. And the Vox Trooper can do this twice during its activation, but it can't perform the action while within engagement range of an enemy operative. Now, one thing that jumps out to me right away is that you can select 1 friendly operative in the kill zone. It doesn't say they have to be visible, and it doesn't say they have to be within a certain distance. So you can hide this guy, tuck him right in, and he's basically going to give an extra APL to 2 operatives each turn. That's awesome, or each activation. I really like that. So I'm almost thinking of my KASRKINs now as 9 troopers. This is the 10th one who just gives APL to 2 and does nothing else during the game until maybe the final turning point. If the enemy gets too close, you can rush him in, sacrifice him, maybe get the APL up on an objective to control it, something like that. But for the rest of the time, he's going to be hidden, giving his APL away, staying in cover, staying concealed. I couldn't think. I can never remember that. So he's going to stay concealed, stay in cover, and stay hidden as well. I think that's going to be key, as far away from the enemy as possible, and keep pushing out those AP, extra 1 APs to 2 of the operatives throughout the battle. That's going to be key, especially when you think of the trooper with the mine. You want him to have that extra AP. So you can certainly do it. You haven't got to see him. You haven't got to be close to him. I think that makes this Vox Trooper a must to include, but you are going to be losing some firepower. And that's why I think, like I said earlier in the video, it's really about being sneaky and strategic with these and trying to control that battlefield as much as you can. So yeah, really important role to play, but it will limit you a little bit. Okay, now we're on to the KASRKIN Spec Ops rules. Now, this is all going to come into effect when you're playing your campaign. So I'm not going to go into too depth about this. I haven't played the campaign with Kill Team with them yet, so I'm not going to go into all this, but it's all there. You've got your rare equipment, you've got your strategic assets, you've got requisitions, and then you've got everything here for your Spec Ops as well. So everything you need for your narrative campaign will be included in that book too. Right, I nearly forgot about the equipment. So let's have a quick look at the equipment. So they're going to get quite a few things to choose from here. Nice to see most of it's a 1 or 2 equipment points. There is a stun grenade for 3 EP though, so that's going to cost you a little bit more. The foregrip's pretty cool. The long range scope stands out to me though. This is 2 EP, and if you've got this, each time you make a shooting attack with the weapon against a target, more than red away, so that's certainly going to fit in with most of the weapons in this kill team. In the roll attack dice step of the attack, if you retain any critical hits, the weapon gains the no cover special rule for that shooting attack. So I think that's going to come in handy, especially if you give that to your sniper, which you've got to, I guess. Well, no, you don't have to. Could be any, I suppose. But I like it for the sniper. I think that'd be pretty good. I may actually give it to quite a few of them. You could potentially give it to 5, couldn't you? Because it's not limited. So it looks like you can have as many as you want. So that might be something I pick out a lot. The grenades, not too worried about. Adrenaline shot might be handy. Once per battle, when the operative's activated, you can use this ability, and if you do so until the end of the activation, ignore any modifiers. Yeah, maybe. Certainly if they're injured, you don't want their movement to be hindered too much, so that could be helpful. But I think that long range scope would be really good, because I want to stand back and just shoot from a distance. So being able to get that cover special rule might be pretty helpful. So yeah, there we go. That's the equipment. You've got lots of grenades to choose from as well. The decoy grenade, pretty handy. But yeah, for me, keep it nice and simple. Long range scope and adrenaline shot. And I think that's the way I'm going to go with it for sure. So there we are. So that's a look at all the different rules for the KASRKIN kill team, and 3 of the things that stand out as negatives for me and things I'd be concerned about. At first, they've only got 7 wounds. That isn't a lot at all. 7 wounds is nothing. They're going to get killed pretty easy. You want to certainly have your medic near those high value operatives, so that's going to be important where you place the medic. Poor melee. You're not going to be good in situations where you have to get close and battle over those objectives in melee combat. So you're going to be wanting to shoot from a distance and not get too tied up. You've got the option of your sergeant who can do some damage. That's about it, really. The others are going to be pretty basic. And again, they're going to get killed very easy in combat. Certainly in just two dice are going to just take them out. And then there's having the 10 models. Once you start using your comms to dish out that 2 AP to the different operatives, really you're only playing with 9. So, but it's quite interesting though. 9 models where 2 of them have got AP3. I quite like. I think that's going to be some interesting tactics. And that's with my orcs. I was always missing those extra AP. It was great for the orc commando Nob, who had the extra one. He could give himself or anyone else he's visible to. That was pretty cool. And the comms guy as well, dishing it out. But he had to see them, whereas the comms in the KASRKIN doesn't have to see them. So I think that's a really nice rule, but you are going to be limited on number of bodies that are in the fight. But on a plus side, having 3 to 4 gunners is amazing. Those high power weapons are certainly going to be useful. The strong sniper is the key for me. That's going to be the model that I'll be including for sure and building my kill team around. The strong medic's going to be very helpful, keeping them alive. I also like the strong turn 1 potential you've got, having that extra idea of taking that scouting step as well. That could really power you up into turning point 1, give you the option to potentially change 2 orders and do some damage that way. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play. Really looking forward to get stuck in and trying them out. And also we'll be trying them against the Krieg, see how they fare against what could be quite a similar kill team, but with this elite point ability, that's really going to set them apart. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that mechanic works. But there we go, that's my summary of the KASRKIN kill team, and I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. And although it's difficult to get hold of Shadow Vaults at the moment, you're going to be able to buy these as a separate kill team sooner or later. And if you do, please check out Firestorm Games. I'll put a link in the description below. Big thanks to them for sponsoring the channel. Awesome shop in Cardiff that I visited very recently. what a huge place. If you get the chance to go there, please do. It's incredible. And they've got shops all over the country as well. So I'm sure you've got one close to you that you could go and take a look at. But if you order online, you get super fast delivery, save up to 20%, and you support me as well, as I get a small commission for every sale made. So thanks for checking them out. Really appreciate that. And if you're interested in getting any other things for your hobby, then that's the place to go. So brilliant. I hope you enjoyed the video and you got some use from it, and you can put this into your games. Maybe it's going to help you with the planning. You might want to just get hold of the rules from somewhere and then use them with models you've already got, and then proxy those models. You could certainly use scions and then use these rules. That would work. I don't see why you couldn't do that. I'm sure that would all fit in. Maybe you have to get some special weapons from elsewhere and then build them into it, but you could certainly do it. You could even use Cadian models, couldn't you, and use the rules. So I'm sure that would be fine. But thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did like it, please hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, and don't forget to hit that notification bell too to join me here next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make these daily videos possible, and if you're interested in joining the community, it'd be awesome to see you there, and I'll put a link for that in the description down below.